I think under the leadership of Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton, the generals have been reduced to rubble. They have been reduced to a point where it's embarrassing for our country. You have a force of 30,000 or so people. Nobody really knows, but probably 30,000 people. And I can just see the great, as an example, General George Patton spinning in his grave as ISIS we can't beat.
So that was Donald Trump last night in the Forum on NBC, and at which time a lot of people started saying, uh-oh, he just called out the generals. What is Donald Trump, the civilian, doing? Joining us now to put perspective on that from the military perspective, Lieutenant General Michael Flynn. Was he right, General?
Yeah, he's absolutely right. I mean, there is a severe disconnect between this White House and, frankly, the president and our military. I mean, there's a lot of frustration within the ranks, and there's a lot of frustration, I know, in the senior leadership about what we're not able to do. One of the things that we cannot ever, I mean, there's no enemy that's unbeatable. And what we have right now is we have over 4.5, 5 years of fighting ISIS now as though there's some unbeatable enemy. Again, there's enormous frustration. And frankly, this business about reducing them to rubble, you look over the past 8 years of generals that have been moved out of the service for whatever reason, for disagreements or just the lack of being able to push a particular strategy that we know that can lead us to victory. You know, guys, I mean, there's
give us some names.
I mean, General McKiernan, General McChrystal, Mattis, Flynn. I mean, there are
Rubble,
others.
Yourself, you're saying.
Yeah. So, I mean, this business about Donald Trump has enormous respect for our military, for our military leaders, and he also said last night for our intelligence professionals, and I know that because I've been in a couple of these intelligence briefings that have been in stark contrast to the policy decisions that we're seeing coming out of this White House. So this is a very dangerous time, and frankly, one of the comments that Hillary Clinton made was when she pulled a card off the table saying, I'm not going to put any boots on the ground. I mean, quit telling the enemy. We have become the best enemies in the world because we constantly...
Why does that bother you?
We constantly predict what it is that we're going to do.
Why does it bother you?
Telegraph what we're going to do.
Why does it bother you that she's not going to put troops on the ground?
It doesn't make any difference whether we do or not. This is, in warfare, you want to have all the options right up until the last possible minute, and you do not want to telegraph or you do not want to be predictable as to what you're going to do or not do.
So, General, what's the problem? Why aren't we beating? You said we can beat this enemy.
Absolutely.
Why aren't we beating
Absolutely.
it? Is the administration not listening to what the generals are telling him to do?
Yeah, it's a very narrow strategy, and frankly, the policy and the strategy that has been directed and approved by the White House is what we're executing right now, and it's taking forever. We are in this, we're in this sort of perpetual conflict, and we can't afford it. About 2 days ago, a report came out that showed that we have spent $6 trillion in the last 15 years in this war. I mean, it's just unbelievable. $6 trillion. That's coming out, and I think 2 days ago that number came out. It's unbelievable. We have got to stop this perpetual war that we are in. Let's go win, and let's figure out, again, what we're going to do sort of the day after is actually the more important thing, and that's where Hillary Clinton, I think, in her going into her support of the current policies in the Middle East, her really pushing for Libya. I mean, these places are a disaster. It's a disaster. We have a fire raging in the Middle East and North Africa that is bringing all sorts of problems in the refugee crisis, this immigration problem into Europe. I mean, Europe is having severe problems, and we're going to have our own problems here if we bring in another 600,000 or whatever the number is that Hillary Clinton wants.
Because we did nothing in Syria, 400,000 are dead, hundreds of thousands are streaming into Europe, and we got 20,000 begging to get in here.
Yeah, and we don't know anything about the backgrounds. I mean, so we have to be very conscious and very cautious about what it is that we do when we begin to bring these folks into this country.
Well, one of the things you mentioned a moment ago, the intel briefing, you've been in both of them that Donald Trump has received. Last night, what he said was the intelligence briefings were great. There apparently was something that was jaw-dropping that he didn't realize before. But he also said he could tell by the body language of the briefers that what they were presenting was not essentially to the president. The president was making a contrary decision based on his ideology rather than perhaps the scenario that presented itself to him.
So the intelligence briefings that we've been given were done very professionally. And the intelligence briefers that represent a large body of our intelligence analysts around the world were very good. The interesting thing is that, intelligence professionals will present really, you know, what is going on.
Just the facts.
Exactly, sorry, just the facts. And what they believe is going on around the world. And the issues that we've touched on in both the first two intelligence briefings are very, very serious. And they really present the perils that the next president is going to deal with. You know, an intel, they brief you, but they don't make the policy decision. They don't make the decision as to what we're going to do about it. That comes out of the White House. It starts at the White House, starts with the president. And I will just sit here and tell you that they're in stark contrast to what we're seeing. So the dangers.
So when Donald Trump came out and said that I read their body language, was he correct?
He's absolutely
because
correct.
Critics have said that you don't get that.
No,
from
you absolutely do. And I will tell you, the questions that were asked by Donald Trump, the very good questions that were asked, and they would say, that's a decision for somebody else. I don't make that. This is the intel folks that were briefing us. Those aren't decisions that we make. What we do is we present the facts.
Well, it's all top secret information, what you're giving the two candidates.
That's right.
And you give them that information so that when they do take office, that they have a plan and they're prepared.
Yeah,
Donald Trump, we heard, you were talking about Hillary said, we're not going to put troops on the ground. That's her strategy. Donald said, if I win, I don't want to broadcast to the enemy exactly what my plan is. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Or do you think he should have...
We have to stop being the best enemies in the world. We say everything we're going to do. I mean, the most recent one, which is probably a month and a half ago, or maybe 2 months ago now, where the Secretary of Defense talked about we're going to send another, I think, 525 guys. And he actually sat in a briefing and said we're going to attack from this city and we're going to attack from this city when we go into Mosul. I mean, this is warfare.
Right.
This is not about, you know, a basketball game where you can walk away. This is about life and death decisions. Right. Quit telegraphing what it is we are going to do on the battlefield.
In general, a lot of people are saying, well, you guys are ignoring the facts. The facts on the ground is we're picking up land against ISIS. They're being forced out as ISIS. And in Iraq, Iraq is getting back their Ramadi, Fallujah, and soon Mosul. Is there a story inside that story?
Yeah, I mean, you know, absolutely. And we don't have enough time to talk about it. Yesterday's town hall down in Philadelphia that Donald Trump spoke to, he talked about essentially 4 points, to go after them militarily, via cyber, financially. So he's talked about the oil and things like that. They're bringing in about $1 million to $2 million a day, ISIS is. And then I think, and I believe most importantly, is attack this ideology, just like we attacked communism, just like we went after Nazism. So we are not even allowed to describe this enemy the way that they actually are. So when somebody says, you know, who is it that you're facing? Hey, we're facing a radical Islamist enemy. And they have grown, they have expanded tremendously.
And so is Iran. Iran is the one leading the charge to take back these Iraqi cities.
Yeah,
it's
General,
criminal.
What did you think of Hillary Clinton's, there was no header on it?
Yeah, unbelievable. I mean, you know, I thought the questions last night were very fair, very fair. And when you're explaining something like that, you're wrong.
Is she wrong?
Absolutely,
is she lying?
She's wrong. She is being about as dishonest as I can. I mean, like the one guy that asked the question last night in the first part of it, you know, like he said, hey, I would essentially be in jail.
The Navy vet.
I would be, the Navy vet is a great question. There was some great questions last night. I would be in jail for a tenth of what we're talking about here. So, you know, I mean, either we have laws or we don't have laws. Either we follow the policies and the guidelines and the rules that we have, or we don't. Yeah. And you can't have somebody who wants to be commander-in-chief or president of the United States that says, hey, I'm sorry.
You're right.
I mean, I got it. I accept your apology, but there is a consequence.
But your excuses don't fly.
All right.
Thank you, General.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
Great to see you.